Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So you're gonna have to,
Huh?
gonna have to. Thank you.
Are we able to get the Spanish interpreter?
Yes, Lucia's gonna do it. So she'll be logging on shortly.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Judge, we ready?
I'm sorry,
I said we ready when you are.
ready to go?
Yes.
All right, I don't see,
You got Dillingham, Shelley Falk.
I don't see any ASGs on camera. There they go. All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
There we go. Oh, hello. Hi.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Judge Regina Mincy, and we're going to begin our Fulton County State Court Expedited Accusations calendar. This is a calendar for cases in which individuals have recently been arrested and charged with certain misdemeanor offenses. Soon after their arrest, the Fulton County Solicitor General's office has already accused the cases of the offenses brought against them, and the case has been bound over to the Fulton County State Court. Nevertheless, this will generally be the defendant's initial appearance before a state court judge, so we're able to address several matters, including bond, possible arraignment, and possible plea offer if one has been made at this juncture. I will be providing a reset date, and that reset date for SAP is April the 4th, 2023. Reset date is April the 4th. Also, I want to begin by advising everyone that this whole entire proceeding is being live streamed as well as recorded and live streamed on YouTube as well as recorded. So govern yourselves accordingly. I want to also remind the defendants on this calendar that you have certain constitutional rights. The first being that you have a right to have representation at this juncture. And most of you obviously know who your attorneys are at this point. You also have a constitutional right to remain silent. Anything that you state about the facts, the circumstances, or the occurrences of your case can and will be held against you at a later date. Govern yourselves accordingly and listen to your attorneys. All right, who do we have first, deputies?
2, position 7, Ms. Hurd.
Okay. This is 23 CR 001753Y, Destiny Hurd. You're charged at 1 count of battery, a 2nd count of criminal trespass and damage to property. The offense date is March 21st, 2023. Pre-trial.
Second adult arrest, I'm sorry. 2022 battery, robbery by force, criminal damage to property, 2nd degree. That's an open pretrial case. 22 SC 181358. That's it.
All right. Date.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This offense occurred yesterday on March 21st, 2023 at 263 Polar Rock Road Southwest. The victim in this case is Miss Shanteria Hurd. That's SHANTERRIA Hurd, same as the defendant's. This victim is the defendant's sister. It's indicated that on yesterday, officers arrived to that location because there was a physical dispute between this defendant and her sister, Miss Shanteria. And during this incident, it's indicated that this defendant did strike her sister in the face, leaving visible scratches. And then upon the altercation being broken up, the defendant did go outside and I believe punch a window, shattering that window. That is the basis for the 2 charges. The incident location does belong to the victim in this case, and they do not live together. It's also been indicated to us that the victim in this case, Ms. Shanteria Hurd, is also 8 months pregnant. Given that we do have some concerns about the risk of reoffending and the possible danger to this particular witness, our office was able to speak with her today. She indicated that they do not live together, that the residence belongs to her, and that this defendant had recently gotten into an altercation with one of her other family members. So she was allowing her to stay there for a few days. However, because she did not want her child to be out in the cold. However, there was this altercation, and she indicated that she no longer wants contact with the defendant in this case and wants her to stay away from her residence. She stated that the defendant's belongings are outside and she can have a one-time law enforcement escort to retrieve her belongings. And she indicated that the defendant's child is with that child's father. It's also indicated that the victim will be on Zoom today. So we would like the court to sound when appropriate. It's for these reasons, Your Honor, that the state is requesting a $3,500 total surety. That's $3,000 on the battery and $500 on the criminal trespass damage to property. No further contact with the victim in this case in accordance with her wishes, and stay away from the incident locations, which is the victim's address in accordance with her wishes, 1 day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
All right. Do we have Miss Shanteria Hurd? Shanteria Hurd on the Zoom?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
All right. Do you wish to address the court today?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I was going to tell you if you did, I needed to see you on camera. Let me break for a second. We have an interpreter case. Is there any way they can go into their breakout to discuss, or I don't know whose case it is, so that we'll be ready when we get to it?
Your Honor, that's what we're trying to figure out. I don't know who's gonna interview Mr. Garcia. He was the
Okay.
add-on. It could be either Kim or Trejo.
Yes, who's interviewing the add-on from the PD's office?
If he needs to be interviewed and he doesn't speak English, I'm fluent in Spanish and I can interview him in Spanish if that's what the court would prefer.
Well, we have a Spanish interpreter.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
right. I thank you for that, Mr. Trejo. Who's assigned to the case?
There was no one assigned to the case, Your Honor. He's an add-on. He was a late add-on.
Uh-huh.
So it's gonna have to probably be Mr. Trejo or Miss Kim. I don't know which one is gonna take it.
Can you all tell me that real quick, Mr. Trejo or Miss Kim, so that you all can go ahead and interview him?
Yes, we'll coordinate accordingly. One moment.
Okay. All right, while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and hear whose case is position 7, Destiny Herb. Is that you, Mr. Trejo?
It's not, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Look, I'm guessing all wrong today.
That's okay.
So where's Kim?
She put a message in the chat earlier, so I know she was here.
I'm about to give her a call regarding the gentleman who still needs to be interviewed and
to see if she's
just see if she's around. Exactly. Otherwise, I mean, if she's not present, I'm happy to interview him while the court attends to other folks who've already been spoken to.
Okay.
Your Honor, I know there are cases today that have private counsel. Michael Escala is here on one of my cases. If we could maybe address one of the private attorney cases that may give Mr. Trejo, and Mr. Somerville is here on
Barson.
Also
Fuller.
on the same case
now.
that Mr. Lascala is here on. Mr. Somerville represents the victim in our case. Mr. Lascala represents the defendant. If maybe we could address that case. I know that Sergeant Norris said that would be one of the top cases today. So if it's possible, maybe we can address that and give Mr. Trejo and Ms. Kim some time to speak.
All right.
Yeah, we can go to position 6, Mr. Drury.
All right, I apologize, Ms. Hurd. We'll come back to your case in a second. This is case number 23 CR 001754H. William Drury charge. Is this the case we were supposed to do last?
Yes, Your Honor, but in speaking to Sergeant Norris, he said he could, I think he said this would be one of the first cases, but that he could accommodate.
I see he's in Sergeant Norris. This is an SB case. And so I want to make sure again, I know that,
We can clear our courtroom too. So,
Okay.
yeah.
okay.
Thank you, Sergeant Norris.
Yes, thank you.
All right, while we're waiting, can you repeat that accusation number, please?
Yes, it's 23CR 001754H as in house.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Trejo, I think it's the add-on, Garcia Munoz, booking number 2304394.
Got it. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Trejo, did someone answer the person that needed, or the defendant rather, that needed to be interviewed?
We did,
Yes,
Your
it's
Honor.
got his name.
Pretrial
Okay.
was able to give that information. I believe the courtroom is clear for Mr. Drury's case.
That's right.
All right. That's the add-on one. Mr. Drury, you're charged with one count of SB. The offense date is 3/21/2023. Pretrial
I got first arrest.
first, okay. All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened on yesterday at around 2:33 a.m. Officers were dispatched out to the JW Marriott at 3300 Lenox Road. They had an opportunity at that point to speak to Miss Carson Fuller, that is CARSON Fuller, FULLER. Ms. Fuller stated she was sexually assaulted by a person that she knew only as Bill, who she met at the bar. She said that she and Bill, who was later identified as the defendant, were at the bar with two other people and were engaged in conversation over drinks. She said that after the drinks, she went to get onto the elevator to go to her room. The defendant then followed her, got on the same elevator. She thought ostensibly to go to his room. And while they were on the elevator, the defendant then backed her into the corner of the elevator, began to kiss her and bite her bottom lip. And while doing so, he reached under her shirt, made contact with her breasts, and began to roughly twist her nipples. All of this was done, and let me be very clear, without Miss Fuller's consent. After doing that, she stated he then tried to go into her pants, but she was able to stop him, pushing his hand away. She stated then she then proceeded to her room. He followed her again without her consent and attempted to make entry behind her, but she stopped him. The officers then went to find the defendant. They were able to make contact with him. He did confirm that his nickname was Bill. And when they asked about any interaction that had happened between himself and Miss Fuller, he stated that he agreed that he had met her at the bar, they had drinks, and they went to their separate rooms afterwards. The officers several times asked the defendant if he and Miss Fuller had had any kind of physical contact whatsoever. And the defendant multiple times, according to the police report, stated no. At that point, the defendant was questioned a little further, and he changed his story, told the officer that he did in fact go to Miss Fuller's room, but they stood outside of the door and spoke for a minute. At that time, the officer called investigator Stansel and other officers to make them aware of the incident. And after speaking with them, the defendant changed his story again, according to the police report, and admitted to kissing Miss Fuller on the elevator and grabbing her breast. And again, and I cannot emphasize this enough, Miss Fuller did not consent to either of these acts, according to our conversations with her and according to her conversation with the police. There is also video camera footage that did observe the defendant getting into the elevator with Miss Fuller at approximately 1:46 a.m., which coincides with the time she stated this incident happened. Now, we did have an opportunity, our victim did have an opportunity to speak with Miss Fuller, who is here today on the Zoom, and we are going to ask her to speak in accordance with Marcy's law. She stated, just to give you an overview, Judge Mincy, that she does not know the defendant. She stated she is here because her mom's getting heart surgery. And she stated she met him at the bar along with 2 other people, and that when this happened, when the assault happened to her, it was very painful. She stated that he also tried to place his hand down her pants, and then he followed her to her room and tried to come into her room. She stated she does have lupus, and that this incident caused a flare-up, which had caused her to have to seek medical attention. As you may know, lupus is a disease that can be aggravated by stress. So the stress of this incident, the stress of this sexual assault, in fact, did aggravate this condition for her and caused her to have to seek medical attention afterwards. She feels that this defendant is a predator and that he told her that she was a prostitute. She stated she has been in mental pain. She's distraught and furious. She's terrified and petrified of this defendant, that she is scared he will come find her because he knows her name and her mother's name and the hospital that she was staying at. Because I'm assuming, and Ms. Fuller can correct me if I'm wrong, that this information was provided downstairs while they were having drinks and conversing and being sociable prior to the sexual assault. She is very distraught about this situation. She has appeared on Zoom in order to speak. The state's recommendation, and I understand that this is his first offense, but he jumped in the deep end of the pool on this one, so to speak. The state's recommendation on this is a $15,000 surety bond. We are asking that he stay away without reservation from the JW Marriott, that he have no further contact without reservation from Ms. Carson Fuller. She has made it very clear she wants nothing to do with him and does not want to see him again. And so we are asking for all those things, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And Your Honor, I don't know if you wish to have Ms. Fuller speak before Mr. La Scala presents his version of events.
All right, Ms. Carson Fuller.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Thank you.
I'm not well, but thank you for having me today. I appreciate your time so very much.
Yes, we appreciate you. Do you want to address the court today?
I would, and I appreciate your time. I
Hold
never
on 1 second before you get started. I need to swear you in. Raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and tell me. I don't want you to repeat too many of the facts, and I understand, but let me ask you this question first before you begin. Are you in fear of Mr. Drury?
Yes, I am. Absolutely.
Okay. And you want to have no further contact, correct?
Absolutely no further contact until the time he came back to my room after the initial assault to ask if I was okay and assaulted me again.
No, what I meant was going forward for the future.
Oh, going forward, I never wish to see this man in any of the years of my life, ever.
Okay.
Or speak
All
to
right.
him.
And do you have anything else to add? I know Deputy Falk.
Yes, I would like to add something else, in that I am a Christian woman, and that I am a loving woman, and that I am a very upstanding citizen, and to be chosen by someone that I view as a predator is absolutely reprehensible. This man assaulted me. He has ruined a large part of my life. He has created pain that will be long-standing. There is no time in jail. There's no amount of money that could make that go away. However, I have faith in the court, and I have faith in the process that this will be corrected, and I have faith in goodness, and he certainly does not represent that. But I am thankful for your time. You have given me a chance to sit here and to tell you what happened to me unfairly and unjustly. And while my mother's health and her heart procedure has nothing to do with it. I am a fan of Atlanta, and I am a fan of Emory, and I am honored to be here. But my goodness, this man does not represent the best of humanity, and he is certainly. I never want anything to do with him. Never did, and I appreciate your time and your patience and your understanding in this very sensitive case. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there
Very
any
much.
cross-examination by Deputy Falk?
Nothing further for the state, Your Honor. And I don't know if Mr. Somerville, I feel that I don't know if Miss Fuller, I feel like she has adequately expressed her feelings about this, and we do appreciate you being here as well to represent her.
Thank you. And Judge Mincy, we've not met. This is a little outside my league generally, but I appreciate being here. The Fullers contacted me this morning. Miss Fuller's dad is a plaintiff's attorney in North Carolina and obviously was concerned for his little girl's safety. So he asked me to step in, and while I may be stepping into an area that I do not know, I'll be happy to assist the court in whatever way I can. I have talked with the victim impact coordinator, who has been incredibly helpful, and stand ready to answer any questions that the court has.
Okay.
And the state has no questions for Mr. Somerville. So the state has nothing we need to add on to that.
Right, and I understand that he's representing the victim in this case, which I don't normally have at this juncture, and she certainly has the right to have representation. And I understand that Mr. LaScala is representing the defendant, Mr. Drury. Thought I saw him. Where did he go?
Yeah.
I see him. Okay, I was going to say I see him there. I see his name.
All right, there you are.
I don't know what's going on, but it keeps looping. I'm not sure if I'm dropping off or not, but every 2 minutes it seems like I have to relog back on. So I hope this continues here.
Okay. Welcome.
Your Honor, I just want to clarify one thing. I have spoken to Ms. Falk yesterday and today, but this incident didn't happen yesterday. It happened 2 days ago. So this is actually going to be the third day that the client's in jail. I have no problem with the 15.
I think I lost you.
Technology is a blessing and a curse.
I know both. Let's see. I think he's going to sign back on.
I'm so sorry, Judge. I'm not sure what the deal is with the software, but nevertheless, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you a little bit.
You,
okay, cool. Go ahead.
Okay, Judge, I've spoken to Ms. Falk about the case. Yes, can you hear me okay?
It's going in and out, but keep talking.
Okay, I understand the $15,000. We're okay with that. The stay away, there's no reason for these two individuals to have any communication. The only concern that I would have of Ms. Falk's recommendation is my client's his belongings and his vehicle is at the JW Marriott. So once he's released, I would just be asked that he be given permission to return there, obtain his items, and get his car, and then.
Oh, I believe we may have lost him. I will say the state has no objection to a one-time law enforcement escort for belongings.
And I will say, Your Honor, that Ms. Fuller is no longer at the Marriott premises. I'd obviously prefer not to reveal where she is right now, but we would certainly be in favor of a stay away order.
Right. Let's get Mr. LaScala
There's
back.
no objection to a bond condition of.
Okay, I'm going to hurry up and say this before you. Yes, we can hear you. I'm going to say this real quick before your connection goes out. I am going to order the $15,000 surety bond. Excuse me. I'm going to order a stay away from 3300 Lenox Road, which is the JW Marriott. I will order and allow a one-time law enforcement escort for Mr. Drury to return to retrieve his vehicle and his belongings. And again, remind him that he is not to go back there without a police escort. Also, I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Ms. Carson Fuller, in any shape, form, or fashion. There's several check boxes on our bond orders to remain 200 feet away, no contact through social media, third parties or any other means of contact with her to make sure that he complies with all of those conditions. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond, except for any prescriptions prescribed to him. And I believe, is there anything else, counsel, that I've left out?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
I believe you covered it all, Judge.
Okay.
What's the breakdown?
Oh, it's only one
There is
charge.
no
I only have
breakdown.
one
There's
charge.
only, we only took out an accusation for one charge. So that 15,000 would be applied to the one count.
And who asked me that by chance? I didn't recognize the voice.
That was Glover.
Oh, okay. All right. If there's nothing else, good luck to you, Miss Carson Fuller. And
Thank you, Your Honor. I thank you very much, and I do hope that I thank you for keeping me and for my family safe from someone who hurt me so deeply. Thank you. Thank you.
all right, you're welcome. All right, if that is it, you may be excused, Mr. LaScala and Mr. Somerville.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I press leave? Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
leave the room. I
bless
think
you
it
all.
says
Thank
leave
you.
the room.
Thank you,
All
Your
right.
Honor.
You're
Goodbye.
welcome. Bye-bye.
I haven't pressed it yet.
All right.
Are we good to go to position one, Mr. Board? I'm not sure who's.
I think I did see PD Kim
Your
is
Honor,
on now. Yes,
I don't mean to interrupt. Are we gonna go back to Ms. Hurd? I don't think we finished that case.
we did not. Who's representing Miss Hurd?
I think that's Kim's case.
Right. PD Kim, are you back? PD Kim. Mr. Trejo?
Yeah, we'll have to start over anyway, because I don't think she heard it.
She's logged on, Jeff, so I'm not sure what she's doing.
She is, yes.
Mr. Trejo is in this breakout room with us.
Oh, he's in the breakout. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Well, maybe we can't finish this in a second. PD Kim, calling PD Kim. Maybe she's doing something. All right, who else do we have, Deputy? We'll have to come back to Miss Hurd. I hate to do
We don't have
that.
no attorneys, do we?
No.
I don't know. Is PD's office, are they here or what? Mr. Jordan, do you need to call over there and see what's going on? I call. I don't know what's going on with PD's office today. Can you call Mr. Howard to find out?
I just called, he didn't answer.
He didn't answer.
I believe PD Kim was attempting to contact an interpreter for the add-on case, and I let her know in the chat that the other public defender was handling that, but I didn't get any response from that.
I sincerely apologize. I couldn't get to the.
All right, are you representing Ms. Hurd? Which is
Yes.
Destiny Hurd, position 7?
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
I'm sorry, Deputy. So we have Ms. Hurd back in the chair, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. I'm gonna start over PD Kim so that you can
I
hear.
apologize.
Oh, it's okay. We understand. This is case number 23 CR 001753Y. Destiny Hurd, you're charged with 1 count of battery, 2nd count of criminal trespass and damage to property. Offense date March 21st, 2023. Pretrial.
Second adult arrest, 2022 battery, criminal damage to property, 2nd degree, robbery by force. That's an open pretrial case, 22 SC 181358.
All right. All right. I'm sorry. Ms. Duncan, can you go ahead and present again?
Yes, this incident occurred yesterday at 263 Polar Rock Road Southwest. The victim in this case is Shanteria Hurd. That's SHANTERRIA Hurd, common spelling. Ms. Hurd is the sister of the defendant. It's indicated that officers responded to this incident location, then they were met with the victim. She indicated to officers that there was a dispute between her and her sister, and that she had let her sister stay with her for a few days because her sister had gotten into an argument with another family member, and she didn't want her sister's child to be out in the cold. However, a dispute broke out between these parties, and the defendant struck Ms. Shanteria in the face, leaving visible scratches that the officers notated in the warrants. It's also indicated to us that the incident location stated on the record is the victim's location, and that the defendant was only staying there for a few days. She further indicated to our victim's advocate after this case was accused that she is also 8 months pregnant. We are concerned about the risk of reoffense in this case, given this defendant's history and the fact that this is her sister. We have some concerns about the particular danger to this individual victim, also given the fact that she is currently pregnant. Our office did get a chance to speak with Ms. Shanteria Hurd. She indicated that they are in fact sisters, that they don't live together, and that this altercation occurred because she allowed her to stay with her while she was having an altercation with another family member, and she only spent a few nights. And she indicated that the defendant hit her and left visible scratches on her face. And after the altercation, the defendant went outside of the home and I believe struck a window, shattering that window to her property. She indicated that she wants no further contact with the defendant. She wants the defendant to stay away from her residence. Ms. Shanteria Hurd further indicated that the defendant's belongings are outside and she can have a one-time escort to retrieve her belongings. She indicated to our victim advocate that her sister's child is with that child's father, and she indicated that she would be on Zoom. So again, the state would like the court to sound for her. Given this defendant's history and the nature of the offenses alleged, the state is going to be requesting a $3,500 total surety bond, $3,000 on the battery, and $500 on the criminal trespass damage to property. No further contact with Shanteria Hurd. Stay away from the incident location that has been placed on the record. 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
All right. BB Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Hurd is 21 years old and her older sister is 28 years old. My client denies the allegation. Indeed, she's willing to stay away and she has no desire to have any further contact either. She herself is actually 19 weeks pregnant right now, even at the jail. And we would like to request for a signature on bond so she can get out of the jail and find a place for her to go. She had an interview yesterday and she feels like her older sister jeopardized her chance to get a job yesterday. So if she loses it, she's not going to be able to get a job another few weeks. Right now, she has been working as a housekeeping while she was going to a school to get a certification for a licensed practical nurse. She has been working really hard to be LPN and she's almost there to be getting that. We would like to request for a signature on bond. If Your Honor is not inclined to give her signature on bond, we ask for $1,000 maximum good bond. Thank you.
And Your Honor, we'd like for you to sound for the victim just in case she's joined the Zoom call since we had the intervention. You're on mute.
I'm here.
Sorry about that. Ms. Hurd, do you wish to address the court?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I think I asked you that before, so we'll let you stay on to listen. So the victim is on the Zoom, but does not wish to address the court or turn on her camera. So we will move forward. And I will go ahead and give my ruling. I'm going to order a $3,500 surety bond. That's $3,000 on the battery, $500 on the criminal trespass. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Shanteria Hurd. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond, except for those prescribed to her or to the defendant. And I think that is it.
Would Your Honor be inclined to order a stay away with a one-time escort, since this is the victim's location and the defendant does not live there?
Right, I will order a stay away from 263 Polar Rock. Is it Polar Rock Road, I believe?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and I don't believe she needs to have a one-time escort to go back, does she, PD Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, she does. She has her stuff there, and also her 2-year-old daughter is with her family members.
Okay, all right, I will allow one-time law enforcement escort to return to the property to retrieve your personal items. I'm assuming I would include to retrieve your child. I don't usually order that, but I'll let that play out. I thought I heard earlier that the child was with the child's father.
That's what was indicated to us, Your Honor.
So I'll let you all work that out in the family court, but I will allow a one-time law enforcement escort to return to this location. Do not go back on your own. And then you can get whatever belongings you need to get or personal items, okay? All right, that should conclude this matter.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Hold on. Yes. Position 11, Mr. Williams.
This is case number 23 CR 001750G. Jeremiah Williams, charged with 1 count of battery family violence. Offense date February the 9th, 2023. Pretrial.
He got over 20 total. He got history out of Tennessee, California. 2021 arrest in California, refused to leave private property at the request of a police officer. Last arrest in Georgia, 2021, failed to appear. 2018 DUI. Another 2018 failed to appear. 2016 failed to appear. I got an aggravated robbery that was dismissed in Tennessee. That was 2014. 2016 theft of property. Another 2016 theft of property. Failed to be booked. 2011 failed to appear. 2010 failed to appear. That's all out of Tennessee. He had one out of Missouri. Hold on. Yeah, I got a 2005 case, driving while intoxicated. 2012 out of St. Louis. Failed to appear. So he got quite a bit of FTAs. 2009, simple possession of marijuana out of Tennessee. That's it.
All right. ASG Duncan.
Yes, Your Honor. In addition to that, I did see a fugitive arrest out of Mississippi in 2014. In a 2012 Missouri arrest for domestic violence, simple domestic violence, where the third offense is a felony with no disposition. And I'm sorry, that was in 2015, not 2012, but it didn't have any disposition. In this case, Your Honor, it did occur on February 9th, 2023. The victim in this case is Chastity Bates. That's Chastity Bates, Bates. She placed a call to police to report that the defendant in this case had attacked her. She stated that she used to live with the defendant, and he became upset with her after coming from out of town when she received a phone call from someone else. She indicated that he proceeded to kick her and grab her by the arms and slap her, resulting in visible bruising to her leg and arms, as well as a scratch on her face. She was able to provide officers with a photo of the defendant in this case, and who was also positively identified from previous incidences between the two, where he provided his driver's license. In this case, we do have some concern about the risk of offense, as it is indicated they have had prior incidences, and this defendant does have a 2015 domestic violence arrest out of Mississippi, I believe in 2015. So we have some concerns, as well as this defendant being a multi-state offender. We're going to be requesting a $4,000 total surety with no further contact with the victim in this case, a stay away from the incident location, which is 1925 Monroe Drive, Northeast in Atlanta. 1 day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law. Our office was not able to make contact with the victim in this case. However, we would still like the court to sound for her just in case she is here.
All right. Is Ms. Chastity Bates on the Zoom call? Chastity Bates. All right, I don't think she is.
I believe the iPhone is her, Your Honor.
No, I'm here.
Ms. Bates, do you wish to address the court today?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on a second. I need to swear you in first. Raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Are you in fear of Mr. Williams?
No, ma'am.
All right. What else would you like to tell me?
I just should have been more far as responsible. He's not a bad person, even though, you know, we all do things, but I should have just left, and this all could have been prevented. That's all, Your Honor.
All right. Any cross-examination, Ms. Duncan?
Just briefly, Your Honor, Ms. Bates, on the date in question, did the defendant strike and kick you?
He didn't kick me. It was more so of like probably pulling on me and stuff like that. It was just so much going on at the time. And I was just ready basically to leave after all that happened. So.
Do you remember on that day reporting to officers that he did so?
No, ma'am. I was trying to remember, but I was just so upset by the whole situation, but I don't remember saying that. I don't recall.
Okay, one more question. As a result of this altercation, did you have bruises on your legs and scratches on your face?
I just had some scratches on my neck.
Thank you.
Just from being pulled. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Nothing further from the state.
All right. PD Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Williams is actually 37 years old, and Ms. Bates, who is here, she is currently residing at Indianapolis. The parties do not have any child together, so there's no fear of recurring this incident again or reoffending. There's no way that my client will be intimidating my Miss Chastity Bates. So I would like you to consider that part. And 1925 Monroe Drive is actually my client's place, where his name is on the lease, and she does not reside there at all. Your Honor, we would like to request for maximum $1,000 good bond, considering outstanding previous FTAs. And yet, as Ms. Bates has said, he is a proud father of 4 children, and he resides with one of them. And he has been gainfully employed at Andre Williams Construction, and he works very hard to provide for his 4 children. And he graduated from high school, and he has been very good, except few incidents here and there. We would like to request for maximum $1,000 good bond. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to order the $4,000 surety bond. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Chastity Bates. I'm going to order stay away from 1925. What was the name of the street again?
Your Honor, that's his place, and Miss Chastity resides at Indianapolis, which is another state, Your Honor.
Ms. Bates, do you reside at that Monroe Drive address?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am, I don't.
Jesus,
Okay.
I need to sleep. Okay, so you moved from that location?
Yes, I've been moved, Your Honor. I had just came out there.
All right, then I, since the victim doesn't reside there, then I will remove the stay away provision.
Thank you.
And like I say, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I think that is it. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing further. We just want to withdraw.
Nothing further.
It's first stay away, so nothing further.
Right, and there was no further contact with Chastity Bates, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that'll conclude this matter.
Your Honor, whenever you're ready, we have Spanish interpreter case ready to
Okay.
go. Add on 1.
This is who?
Add on 1, Garcia.
Yes, ma'am.
Garcia Munoz. This is, oh, Madam Interpreter, would you raise your hand for me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm doing well, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good. Do you affirm that you will interpret from Spanish to English, English to Spanish? And I didn't ask you if that was Spanish, but I believe it is. The proceedings before this court in an accurate manner with no embellishments to the best of your skill and knowledge?
I do, Your Honor, and it is Spanish.
Okay. All right. Put your hand down for me. And I will call this case. This is 23 CR 001756G, State versus Oscar Garcia Munoz, charged at 1 count of simple battery, family violence. The offense date is March 21st, 2023.
Se llama en el calendario esta tarde el caso número 23 CR 001756G. Es el caso del Estado en contra del señor Oscar García Muñoz y la acusación es un cargo de violencia doméstica, el cual ocurrió el 29 de marzo del 2023.
21, perdón.
All right.
You ready?
Yes, pre-trial.
6 total. Okay. 2017 and 2020, he was arrested by ICE for alien present without admission or parole.
Y la juez pide la información de antecedentes y existen 6 arrestos previos, uno en el 2017, otro en el 2020, por inmigración, por ICE. Y el cargo fue de estar en el país ilegalmente sin documentación. Esos son 2 arrestos. Ahora van a continuar con los que siguen.
2017 terrorist threats.
Una acusación de amenazas terroristas también en el 2017.
2018 criminal trespass.
Traspaso criminal en el 2018.
2020 battery DV cruelty in the third.
En el 2020, otra acusación de violencia doméstica.
And he is out on pretrial. I think it's a $3,000 bond.
Oh, that's existing now.
Correct. Yeah, he got open cases.
Y en este momento está usted bajo fianza en libertad condicional con una fianza de $3,000, la cual todavía es un caso abierto.
Yeah. The open case numbers is 22 CR 000. No, hold on. 22 CR, yeah, 001589G as in green.
All right.
And 22.
Go ahead, sorry.
22 CR 002996G as in green.
Tiene 2 casos pendientes, actualmente abiertos. Y los números de esos casos es lo que se dijo ahorita. 22 CR 0001589G y el 22 CR 0002996G.
So that bond is going to be 3,000 on top of whatever you said.
Entonces la fianza va a ser esos $3,000 más cualquier cosa que dicte la juez el día de hoy.
I'll let the state tell you about the victim. I think it's the same, but that's all.
Eso es todo en cuanto a los antecedentes por parte del Estado y ahora le van a decir sobre el caso pendiente por el que estamos aquí el día de hoy.
All right. State.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident occurred on yesterday at 305 Meadow Drive. They met with the defendant and all parties involved, including the defendant and his son, Oscar Garcia Gonzalez. That's Oscar, common spelling, Garcia, common spelling, Gonzalez, Gonzalez.
Y la acusación del Estado empieza con su dirección, el 305 Meadow Drive. Ahí es donde el acusado se vio con su hijo, que es la víctima, el señor Oscar García González. Go ahead.
Officers indicated that it was an altercation among family members and that there was a third-party witness, Francisco Ortega.
Cuando los agentes de policía llegaron, les indicaron que era un caso de una pelea entre familias. Hubo un testigo, un amigo, Francisco Ortega.
Ortega indicated to officers that the defendant, that there was an altercation where the defendant struck and kicked the victim.
El señor Ortega les indicó a los agentes de policía que se trataba de un caso donde el acusado y la víctima tuvieron un altercado y el acusado le pegó y le pateó a la víctima.
And that there was a video footage of the incident and officers were able to see what had occurred.
Que hubo un video que fue tomado del incidente y que los agentes de policía pudieron ver lo que había sucedido.
In this case, Your Honor, we do have some concerns about the risk of reoffending in this case. In that 2022 CR 001589G battery family violence case, it is the same victim.
En este caso, su señoría, tenemos una preocupación y es el riesgo de que este acusado vuelva a ofender en el mismo caso, porque el caso pendiente, el 22 CR 0001589G, que está todavía aún abierto es con la misma víctima.
And he was currently under a no further contact order with family members from Judge Morrow for that particular case.
Y para ese caso en particular, el anterior, la jueza anterior ya le había ordenado no contacto adicional con esta víctima, con la persona.
And given that there's an additional open battery family violence case against a different victim, Irene Gonzalez, we are severely concerned about the risk of reoffense and the danger to these particular victims in this case.
Y ya que existe también otro caso abierto en contra con una víctima, Irene González, la Fiscalía, el Estado tiene mucha preocupación de que vuelva a ocurrir otra vez.
This defendant is clearly not going to abide by court orders to not have contact, and especially contact of a violent nature, with those around him.
Este acusado obviamente no ha indicado que se puede mantener sin contacto con estas personas, con sus víctimas, incluso con una orden judicial.
Since this is the third family violence nature case in the last year or so, the state is going to be requesting a $3,000 total cash bond.
Ya que este es el tercer caso en el último año de violencia doméstica, la Fiscalía, el Estado, va a pedir primero una fianza de $3,000 en efectivo. Go ahead.
No further contact with Oscar Garcia Gonzalez.
No más contacto en absoluto con el señor Oscar García González.
Especially since he was not supposed to be contacting him prior to this incident.
Especialmente porque usted no estaba supuesto a tener contacto con él previamente por el incidente anterior.
And stay away from the 305 Meadow Drive location.
Y también están pidiendo que permanezca lejos de la dirección del 305 Meadow Drive.
2 weeks of anger management, given these open battery family violence cases and the previous terroristic threats in the other cases.
2 semanas de clases de manejo de la ira, en contra de la ira, dados los casos pendientes y dados las amenazas terroristas del caso anterior.
No alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
No alcohol, no drogas, no armas y ninguna otra actividad en contra de la ley o violación de la ley del estado de Georgia.
I'm not sure if our office has been able to make contact with the victim in this case, but the state would like for the court to sound for him in case he is here.
No sabemos si la Fiscalía, si el Estado se ha comunicado con la víctima en este caso, pero vamos a ver si es que ellos están presentes. Your Honor, would you like me to sound up?
Yeah, and is it Gonzala? I wrote Gonzala. Is that the last? Yes, Miss Gonzalez.
Yeah, it's actually, okay. Would it be for Oscar García González?
Yes, it's Oscar
Yes.
Garcia Gonzalez.
Okay. Buenas tardes, damas y caballeros. Si es que el señor Oscar García González está presente en esta llamada por video, por favor, puede prender su cámara y su micrófono.
All right, we will go forwards. Mr. Trejo, I'm sorry.
That's right. Thank you.
Entonces, ahora es el turno del señor Trejo, que es su abogado defensor.
All right, Your Honor, I would first like to bring to the court's attention the 2 biggest issues that we would have with any bond in this case are the stay away order and the no further contact provision.
Su señoría, los 2 temas en los que tendríamos la mayor objeción sería las órdenes de permanecer lejos y de no tener contacto con la víctima.
The scene of the incident, the 305 Meadow Drive in Alpharetta, is the defendant's home. That is where he lives. He pays the mortgage there.
El lugar donde sucedió este altercado, el 305 Meadow Drive, la dirección en Alpharetta, es la casa del acusado. Y ahí es usted, el acusado es quien paga la hipoteca ahí.
And so it would be a substantial burden on him to leave the scene of that house.
Entonces va a ser un peso bastante alto para él el irse de su casa.
Especially given the fact that the victim in this case is my client's 23-year-old son.
Especialmente dado el caso que la víctima en este caso es el hijo de mi cliente, su hijo de 23 años de edad.
The two of them are also business partners and run a landscaping company together. So we would ask that any provisions regarding the other party would be a no further violent contact rather than no further contact.
Y aparte de eso, él y su hijo tienen una compañía juntos y entonces lo que pedimos a cambio es que la orden judicial sea de no contacto violento y no de no contacto únicamente.
And without getting too much into the facts of this matter, Your Honor, on the affidavit for arrest, it does mention that the other party, the alleged victim in this case, did have his hands around my client's neck and did choke my client.
Aparte, sin hablar mucho del tema, una declaración bajo juramento por escrito de la víctima, dice, perdón, una declaración bajo juramento por escrito dice que la otra persona tenía las manos de él en el cuello del acusado y lo estaba ahogando.
And that my client, is the one, he indicated that he was the one who called the police in this instance.
Y que mi cliente indicó que él es el que llamó a la policía en este caso.
So once again, without getting further into the facts of this case, I understand that the scope of this hearing is just on the bond. It does appear that there is more going on here that I think the court should take into account when determining a bond.
Y ya que sin hablar más detalles del caso, sabemos que esta audiencia es únicamente para fijar la fianza, pero hay más información y más cosas que están sucediendo alrededor que afectan a este caso.
My client's been in the Atlanta area for 20 years. He's married and has 3 children who were each born here.
Mi cliente ha estado en el área de Atlanta por 20 años. Tiene 3 hijos que han nacido aquí.
And as I mentioned previously, Your Honor, he owns his own business that has been in operation for about 5 years.
Y como mencioné antes, su señoría, él es dueño de su propio negocio que ha estado operando por más o menos 5 años.
And while I haven't had the chance to dive deep into the facts of the other cases that are currently open,
y aunque no he tenido la oportunidad de estudiar más profundamente los hechos en los otros casos que están abiertos,
my client did indicate that he's currently enrolled in a family violence intervention program, and he has taken some anger management courses, and he's currently, I believe, about 10 classes into that process.
Mi cliente me indicó que él ya es parte de una clase o de un curso en contra de cómo manejar, un curso para enseñarle a cómo manejar la ira y que según lo que mi cliente me indica, él ha estado ya en 10 clases de esas.
So again, taking into account any prior cases that he may have open, I do think that, as I mentioned previously, there is more going on that meets the eye in this case. We would ask for a bond of no more than $1,000, not any stay away order, and to have no further violent contact with his son.
Y entonces, basado en eso, lo que nosotros estamos pidiendo es una fianza de no más de $1,000, que no necesite permanecer lejos del lugar donde sucedió esto y que no exista más contacto violento.
Nothing further from defense.
And just to clarify, Your Honor, there were witnesses on the scene as this occurred in front of several people. They indicated that if the victim in this case did in fact choke the defendant, it was only to keep him from hurting anyone else on the scene, as apparently this was a big altercation between several family members. And given that this defendant is currently violating other bond conditions against this particular victim and other possible family members, we don't think that no further violent contact in this case is appropriate, and we'll renew our request for that cash only bond. Nothing further from the state.
Y el Estado agrega que ya que esto fue un altercado bastante grande y aparentemente con varias personas ahí presentes, que hubieron testigos que indicaron que, que usted básicamente fue parte grande del altercado, entonces ellos reanudan la petición en frente del juez, la fiscalía lo hace para que sea una fianza únicamente en efectivo y que el contacto sea no exista, o sea, que se le ordene nada de contacto, ya que se le ha ordenado previamente no contacto violento y eso parece no estar funcionando.
And just very briefly, Your Honor, I would just remind the court that the arrest warrant only mentions one victim. It doesn't mention several members or several victims. It has one specific person.
También quiero recordarle, su señoría, que en la orden de arresto indica que solamente existió una víctima, que no había mención siquiera de más víctimas.
And again, without getting too far into the facts, because that is beyond the scope of this hearing.
Y sin hablar mucho de los hechos, porque eso es más allá de lo que es permitido en esta audiencia o la razón por la que estamos aquí.
Regarding choking or hands around the neck of somebody else, it's dubious as to whether or not that's a defensive tactic. So I would leave that at the court's discretion and say there's nothing further from defense.
El hecho de que alguien más haya tenido las manos de ellos en su cuello no quiere decir que eso fue una táctica para defenderse. Obviamente eso se queda a el criterio de la jueza.
And just to add it, there was one particular victim on video and there was independent witnesses and officers indicated it was a family dispute, nothing further.
Y lo que añaden es que hubo solamente una víctima en el video, sí, pero que hubieron más testigos que vieron la pelea.
And what was the state's recommendation on the cash bond again?
$3,000.
All right. I'm going to order the $3,000 cash bond based on the history here. And we want to make sure that the victim is going to be safe. So I'm going to order a stay away from 305. Is it Meadow Drive?
It's
That's correct, Your Honor.
It's Meadow Drive.
All right. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Miss Gonzalez. Do we need a one-time escort back to that property to retrieve any personal items, Mr. Trejo?
Yes, Your Honor. And
Okay.
it's Mr. Gonzalez is the victim.
Oh, I'm
It's,
sorry, Mr. Garcia. Munoz.
Garcia, correct.
Yes.
Correct. I wanted to make sure we're accurate.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
One-time law enforcement escort back to the property to retrieve any personal items. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Entonces, la jueza se dicta de la siguiente forma. La fianza es $3,000 en efectivo. Le ordena, hay una orden judicial de que permanezca lejos de esa dirección, de esa residencia en Alpharetta. 0 contacto, nada de contacto con la víctima. Y le van a dar una escolta una sola vez con una persona, un policía o alguien así, para que le lleven a su casa, le escolten a su casa para que usted saque las pertenencias que necesita sacar. Obviamente esto es todo durante el transcurso de la fianza, el cual se le ordena también nada de uso de drogas, alcohol o tener armas con usted.
All right, if there's nothing else from council, that will conclude this matter.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Nothing further.
All right, thank you.
Eso es todo. Entonces, thank you, Your Honor. If there are no other business for the interpreter, may I be excused?
Yes, you may. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Position 9, Mr. Price.
This is case number 23, CR 001755G. Logan Price charged with 1 count of theft by shoplifting, offense date 12/17/2021. Pretrial,
Hey, how much was that last bond?
3,000 cash.
17 cycles. Last arrest was back in October, shoplifting. It was a conviction out of Snellville. He was arrested March of last year for simple battery, ag assault, ag battery. Those cases are open. 2021 shoplifting, impersonating an officer. Before that is 2013 criminal trespass. And before that was 2009 failure to appear. Everything else is old.
Okay. State,
Yes, Your Honor, this incident occurred at the 9730 Medlock Bridge Road, which is a Fairway package store. Officers were dispatched to this location in reference to a shoplifting. Officers met with the manager of that location and Mr. Tony Trong. He indicated that an unknown male, later identified as the defendant in this case, had taken 2 bottles of whiskey, and he showed officers a video footage of the defendant entering the store and going to the shelf and picking up a box containing bottles of Macallan 6th edition whiskey from the shelf, removing that whiskey and placing the box back on the shelf, as well as grabbing a bottle of Crown Royal Black and taking those items to his car past the points of sale without paying for them. He put them in the back of his vehicle, and then he re-entered the store and purchased a bottle of a single malt Go Long with a credit card. At that time, the manager of the store was able to pull up the purchase receipt from that purchase from the defendant, and that's how he was able to be identified. And he was the same description as the person seen on the video, making that secondary purchase after taking those other 3 bottles of alcoholic beverage from the store. Given that this defendant has a prior conviction for theft by shoplifting and other arrests for theft by shoplifting and theft by taking in his past, even the remote one in 1989 and 1997, they do show a pattern of conduct, as well as an open felony theft by shoplifting and impersonating a public officer or employee in 21 CP 200151. We're concerned about this defendant's risk of reoffense, and for those reasons, Your Honor, the state is going to be requesting a $2,000 total surety and stay away from that Fairway package store at the address indicated on the record. No alcohol, drugs, and weapons, no further violations of Georgia law, and a theft class.
all right, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor, my client, Mr. Price, is 53 years old, and he is currently having a severe back pain, back injury from November 22. Ever since then, he was in and out of wheelchair, and he could not work anymore. So he is not employed at this point, Your Honor. He graduated from high school successfully, and he is married to Miss Harp. I believe she is on the line. And also he has been here in Georgia for a long time, and his family members are here, and they are willing to they're waiting for him to come out. He has been in the jail, especially Newton County, for last 3 months because of his medical condition. He was in solitary cell for almost 3 months. So he was kind of wondering if he could get a time served, and yet that was in another county. So I didn't think that was feasible here in Fulton County. We would like to request for signature on bond for theft by shoplifting. And also, if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we would like to keep $1,000, which is already set as is, instead of raising up to $2,000, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. And the state's recommendation again.
It's $2,000, given that he has a previous conviction and 2 previous arrests for theft-related offenses in his history, and an open felony theft by shoplifting.
All right, I will order a $2,000 surety bond.
Your Honor, may I
I'm
address,
sorry.
may I address the court, please, before you give your verdict, Your Honor?
I'm sorry.
May I address the court before you give your verdict, Your Honor?
Your attorney may not want you to speak, because you may make statements against your interest. PD Kim.
Mr. Price, I strongly recommend you to stay silent because you have a right to remain silent to protect your rights. I don't want to increment the case. So, Your Honor, maybe we can ask for $1,000 to remain said, Your Honor.
We'd object to that as well.
I'm listening to the history, and the history does concern me. With this location being a package store. And I believe that the defendant has only been in Fulton County for 2 days. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right.
Yes, Your Honor.
I will go in the middle, and I will order the $1,500 surety bond, $1,500. I will order stay away from 9730 Medlock Bridge Road, the package store. No further contact with, I think you said Tony Tron.
Yes.
No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And that will be the order of the court.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
Position 1, Mr. Boyd.
This is 23 CR 001744F, Bryant Boyd. Charged with 1 count of simple battery, family violence. The offense date is July the 9th, 2022. Pretrial.
2021 battery DV, cruelty in the third. Let's open out of the cab. Everything else in this history was dismissed.
Okay. State.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred July 9th of 2022 when officers responded to 515 Fulton Street. There they met with the victim in this case, Miss Swantarius Boykinsey. That's spelled Swantarius, who stated that she had received a call from the mother of the defendant's other child, informing her that the defendant had dropped off the son that she has with the defendant at her house with no diapers. Miss Boykins went to the address to pick up her son, and after putting her son in the car, the defendant arrived in his vehicle, to which Miss Boykinsey confronted the defendant, and the defendant reacted unprovoked by punching her in the chest, and then he fled the scene. Your Honor, we did have a chance to speak with the victim in this case, and the state's recommendation as a result of that is a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Miss Boykinsey, and third-party transfer of their child. I do believe she is on the Zoom today, so I would ask to sound for her.
All right. And again, it's Miss Boykinsey.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Boykinsey.
No, it's Boykins.
It's just Boykins. Okay. Do you wish to address the court today, Miss Boykins?
I can.
Well, if you do, you'll have to turn on your camera and I'll swear you in.
Okay. Hold on. Okay.
All right, raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and that but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, and what would you like to tell me?
I just would like to say that I did speak with someone earlier, and I thought that my recommendation would be that it would be contact nonviolent.
Okay. And you're in a relationship with Mr. Boyd?
No, we have one child together.
Okay.
And it's been a year since this happened, and nothing else has happened since that.
And how old is the child that you all share?
He's 3.
3. Okay. All right. And so you're not in fear of Mr. Boyd?
No.
Okay. All right. Any cross-examination, Ms. Dillingham?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trejo?
None for Ms. Boykins at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Boykins, for
You're
your
welcome.
time. All right, Mr. Trejo?
Yes, Your Honor. We would ask the court heed the victim's recommendation. They haven't had any other issues since this incident happened. I don't believe there's a history of any incidents between them. I do think no further violent contact would be appropriate. My client's gainfully employed. He's stable. He's been living in Atlanta his entire life. He graduated high school, and he is quite involved in his child's lives. He has 6 children, all in Atlanta. And we think that the best thing for this case would be for it to be a no further violent contact. I don't believe that a third-party transfer of the child would be necessary given the no further violent contact provision. I will also say that the parties don't live together, and we would ask for no more than $1,000 surety bond.
All right. I'm going to order a $1,500 surety bond, $1,500. I'm going to order a stay away from 515 Fulton Street. I'm going to order no further violent contact with the victim, Swantarius Boykin. I will not order the third-party transfer with the child. I will leave that off. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I think that will conclude it. Anything else, counsel?
Your Honor, I did want to clarify the 515 Fulton Street was not the victim's address. That was the address of the other mother of his other child. So we were not asking for a stay away from that address.
All right, so I will retract or remove that stay away, Ms. Grace.
Great. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, that will conclude this case.
Position 2, Mr. Bush.
Okay.
You said
2 and 3.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right.
Oh, he has 2 cases. First case is 23 CR 001746B. Frederick Bush charged with 3 counts of abandonment of a dependent child. Offense date is March 1st, 2023, and it's child support, I understand. Has the purge amount been set?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much is that?
$450.
On each count?
It's for the total.
For the total?
Yes.
$450 total. Do they show a breakdown for 3 counts or just do the math?
The 3 counts were just for the 3 individual children. The total
Gotcha.
purge amount was $450 that was ordered.
Okay, and for 3
Gotcha.
kids. Okay. All right, and then the second case is 23 CR 001752B. Mr. Bush is charged with 1 count of loiter and prowling, 2nd count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. That offense date is March 21st, 2023. Pre-trial?
24 total. Last arrest was
24?
Correct.
Okay.
2019 failure to appear. He got open cases. He on probation in Cobb County. 2 counts theft by taking, burglary 2nd degree. 2019, they gave him 2 years to serve, 3 years probation for that. On parole for ag assault. Got an open possession of a firearm during the commission. Possession of a firearm by convicted felon, a felony first offender, and ag assault. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. State.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred yesterday, March 21st, when officers responded to 72 Milton Avenue. There they had noticed and heard reports of 3 men canvassing the parking lot of those apartments, looking into cars, and none of the individuals lived there. When the officers had approached the 3 men, they all ran on foot, fleeing away from the officers. They were able to catch one of the individuals, that is the defendant, and they arrested him and retrieved a gun holster and magazine from his person. Officers do believe that this defendant, along with the other 2 individuals, were the same group of individuals that were caught on camera March 9th in the same hoodies in the same parking lot canvassing that area that resulted in theft of a motorcycle. Your Honor, as Mr. Howard mentioned, this defendant is was currently on probation for aggravated assault, theft by taking, and burglary at the time that this incident was committed. So for that reason, the state is going to recommend a $4,000 surety bond. That's $2,000 on each count, and a stay away order from that address of 72 Milton Avenue.
All right. And that 72 Milton Avenue is a business?
It's an apartment complex, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, on the first case, ending in 1746B, again, that purge amount is $450. So that is the amount that would be paid for the defendant to clear himself of the 3 child support counts or abandonment of dependent child. On the second case ending in 1752B, I'm going to order the $4,000
Your Honor,
surety.
is defense going to have the opportunity to be heard on this one?
Oh, I apologize, Mr. Trejo.
That's okay. I just wanted to.
I'm sorry.
Make
Thank
sure
you.
my
Go
client
ahead
has
and
to be
present.
heard. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry.
Yes, ma'am. We have no issues with the stay away order. My client's 38 years old. He doesn't live at that apartment complex. You know, he is gainfully employed. He's lived in Atlanta his whole life. He's got 4 children. And he is self-employed. He's a business owner. You know, we would ask for no greater than $1,000 total on each charge. And as I mentioned previously, Your Honor, stay away order shouldn't be any issue. You know, I would just remind the court that my client's only charge is, at this time, is loitering and prowling. Nothing else to be involved with a gun. Nothing else for theft. And a look at the arrest affidavit just mentions a courtesy officer seeing some folks on a Ring doorbell. So we would ask that the court consider that when determining the amount of the bond.
Okay.
And also consider the fact that my client will already be paying $450 in terms of child support. So we ask that that be considered as well in terms of my client's overall financial burden.
What type of business does he have?
Heating and air, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to order on the second case ending in 1752B, $2,000 surety bond, $1,000 on each charge. Stay away from 72 Milton Milton Avenue. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Anything else?
How much was that?
2,000, 1,000 on each surety. All right, that should conclude his cases. Who do we have, Deputy?
I was on mute. Position 4, Mr. Crane.
Okay. This is 23 CR 001747F, Ricky Crane, charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, offense date March the 20th, 2023. Pre-trial.
You got 19 total. I think his last arrest was like 2012. It was a trespass conviction. 2011 selling marijuana conviction. That's it.
All right, state.
Your Honor, I do believe this was going to be a negotiated plea. Actually, we did discuss this with the public defenders this morning. I just wanted to make sure that that was still the case on their end.
Mr. Trejo, is this a negotiated plea?
That is my understanding, Your Honor. I know that he is represented by somebody else in our office, but while I was interviewing him this morning, I did communicate the offer to him. The offer from the state that we received is 12 months to serve 1 day, credit for time served 1 day, and stay away from the Texaco location in the arrest warrant. Mr. Crane indicated that he would like to accept that offer.
Okay, and that's to stay away from a BP.
It's a Texaco gas station, Your Honor.
Texaco. And what's that address?
1117 Street Southwest.
I'm sorry, 1117.
Yes, 1117 Street Southwest. So 1117 Street Southwest.
All right, Mr. Trejo.
Nothing further from us, Your Honor. We just asked.
Is he going to do his plea pro se?
I know that he worked it out with another member of our office, Your Honor. She sent me some of the plea documentation, but that was after I had already spoken with Mr. Crane, so I didn't have a chance to walk him through the waiver of rights or any of the other materials. I just communicated the plea to him orally while we were on the phone with each other.
Well, I know Miss Grace is going to want that paperwork today. I just want to make sure someone is going to get it over to, is it Melissa Grace?
Yes, we have to have the paperwork.
And I want to make sure we'll be able to get that.
I can forward you the plea paperwork that was sent to me. I will note that it's not signed by our client.
I think there is an easy question here. Courtroom 2, Sergeant Norris, did you receive the paperwork?
I believe courtroom 2 is still on mute.
He is, but he's coming to the front.
Right.
Yes, he did sign it, and I believe Norris did send it back to the email.
Okay, Ms. Dillingham, did you receive an email from Sergeant Norris? If so, could you please email that to Melissa Grace?
I haven't received it. But as soon as I do, I can send it to her.
Courtroom 2, I would just ask if Sergeant Norris could resend that email to Ms. Dillingham and myself. I'll go ahead and we'll make sure it's forwarded to Melissa Grace. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all.
Okay, good. All right, so Mr. Crane, I understand that you wish to plead guilty to 1 count of criminal trespass. Is that correct? I think he's still on mute. Deputy, can you unmute? All right, thank you. So, Mr. Crane, I understand that you wish to plead guilty to 1 count of criminal trespass. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And this plea, in order to accept your plea, I'm going to ask you certain questions to make sure that it's free and voluntary. And so I'm going to ask, I guess, Mr. Trejo, do you all stipulate to venue, identity, and a factual basis?
We do, Your Honor.
All right. And so now that we have that, I'm going to ask you these questions, Mr. Crane. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I need to be able to hear you answer these questions for me. And again, I understand that you wish to plead guilty to 1 count of criminal trespass. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you presently under the influence of any medication, drugs, or alcohol?
No.
Are you satisfied with the services and representation of your attorney?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up or waiving the right to presumption of innocence?
Yes.
And do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're giving up the right to remain silent and not testify against yourself?
Yes.
Do you understand that you're giving up and waiving the right to trial by judge or jury, whichever you prefer?
Yes.
And are you prepared and agree to waive these rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone told you that you will receive a lesser sentence for pleading guilty?
No.
Has anyone promised you anything to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
And do you understand that if you're currently on probation, that your probation may be revoked because of the guilty plea here today?
Yes.
And do you offer this guilty plea freely and voluntarily with the full understanding of the charge against you?
Yes, ma'am.
And so as to the charge of criminal trespass, how do you plead?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I will accept your guilty plea, and I understand that the terms were 12 months to serve 1 day, credit for time served 1 day, and you're to stay away from the Texaco station at 111 17th Street Southwest. So please do not go back to the Texaco station or else you'll be back here in jail, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, anything else, counsel, or anyone?
Nothing further from the state.
Your Honor.
All right, good
We'll
luck
make sure
to
to
you,
get that plea
Mr. Crane.
paperwork.
All right.
Did you all receive the paperwork yet?
Just received it. I'm going to send it over to Miss Grace now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you.
And we will go to position 5, Mr. Davis.
Okay.
Hey, come on. You gotta get this.
They on 2 sides.
This is case number 23 CR 001748A, Jonathan Davis, charged with 1 count of SB, offense date 3/18/2023.
Correct.
Retrial.
This is a 9th arrest. Last arrest was 2014. Misdemeanor possession of marijuana, ag assault, simple battery, burglary in the 2nd degree, and probation violations. Before that was probation violations from 2013. 2012 convictions for ag assault, 2 counts, 1 count battery. He's off probation for those. 2012 possession of tools, burglary. 2008 trespass, probation for battery and stuff before 2008. That's it.
All right. State.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident occurred this past weekend, March 18th, 2023, when officers responded to 3114 Hickman Drive Northwest, which is the residence of the victim in this case, Miss Derica Bradford. Miss Bradford lives at that residence with her mother, and the defendant, who was her mother's boyfriend at the time, had been staying there temporarily with them. Upon arriving, the officers learned that early that morning, while Miss Bradford was sleeping, the defendant came into her room and got over her, stuck his hands in her pants, and she woke up in horror to him touching her genital area. She began screaming and tussling him off of her, to which her mother entered the room and called the police. Your Honor, as Mr. Howard mentioned, this defendant does have a history of 8 arrests, including violent crimes of aggravated assault, battery, family violence, and cruelty to children. And due to the egregious nature of this crime, Ms. Bradford and her mother are both traumatized from this incident. And for that reason, the state is recommending a $5,000 cash bond, a stay away order from 3114 Hickman Drive Northwest, and no further contact with Ms. Derica Bradford. I do believe she may be on the Zoom, so we would ask to sound for her at the appropriate time.
All right. Mr. Trejo?
Was the court going to sound for any individuals that may be here?
Do we have Ms. Derica Bradford? I see Sonji's iPhone. You're not with this case, are you?
He is for another case, Mr. Smith's case, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. All right. So we don't have a Derica Bradford on the Zoom. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Trejo.
Yes, Your Honor. We don't have any issues with the stay away order. My client also indicated that he is no longer with his partner that was cited in this case. He is 40 years old. He's been gainfully employed for 10 years. He went through the 12th grade, and he is stable living in Atlanta, Your Honor. In terms of considering his prior history, Your Honor, we would like to just bring to the court's attention the fact that all of those cases are from 9 years ago or earlier. So my client hasn't been in trouble over the last decade. We would ask for no more than a $1,000 bond on this case.
Okay.
And once again, Your Honor, just due to the egregious nature and Ms. Bradford being in fear of this defendant from this traumatizing incident, the only reason that the defendant is not with the mother is because of this incident. So he was kicked out of the home, and that is why we would continue to emphasize the stay away, the no further contact, as well as the $5,000 cash bond.
And we don't have issues with either of those provisions.
Okay. And tell me, remind me again, Mr. Trejo, what type of job does Mr. Davis have?
He remodels houses, Your Honor.
Is he self-employed?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to order the surety bond in the amount of $15,000 surety bond. I'm going to order to stay away from 3114 Hickman Drive Southwest. I'm going to order no further contact with Derica Bradford. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And what else? Is there anything else, counsel, that we need to add? Stay away, no further contact with the victim, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Anything else?
Everything. Nothing further from the state.
All right. It's $15,000 surety bond.
Your Honor, I have 2 announcements. Position 8, Ms. Morris, she bonded out. And Mr. Smith, position 10, he waived his appearance. So we're done in courtroom 2.
Favor. All right. Have a good afternoon. See you next time.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. We'll do position 10s at the last one we have left.
Yes, Your Honor. Because of MH issue, I requested a breakout room, Your Honor.
There's no one here, but I
Yeah.
guess you don't want it on recording.
Let me give you the history real quick.
Sure.
Let me call it 23 CR 001749H. Justin Smith, charged at 1 count of battery, family violence. The offense date is December 15, 2022. Go ahead, pretrial.
His history come out of Mississippi. 2017 robbery conviction. 2015 possession of a controlled substance. That's it. He went to felony earlier. Probably got no bond. And he's a resident of Jackson, Mississippi. That's it.
All right, no Georgia history.
No.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, state.
Are we going to do the breakout room? Or are we going to do it here?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Jordan. I think he's my Zoom master.
Where's my breakdown?
It'll be myself and
Well, he's in.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna ask Ron.
All of us left, and that Sanji's iPhone, is that the victim in this case?
Miss Sonji is his mother, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. We'll come back to her. We'll go in the breakout. PD Kim, ASG Duncan, Deputy Falk. Anybody else in the breakout?
No.
There you have it, Mr. Jordan. And we'll be back in a second, Ms. Sanji. I'm going to sound for Jasmine Godfrey. Is Jasmine Godfrey on the Zoom? Jasmine Godfrey. All right, we're back on the record. The case of Justin Smith. We've had a waiver, 23 CR 001749H. And I understand that his mother is on the Zoom.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Sonji was here. Sonji's iPhone.
Miss Sanji. All right, I'm gonna keep moving. I'm not sure what I would hear as much from his mom that will change my opinion. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my ruling. I'm going to order the $10,000 cash bond. I'm going to order that the defendant stay away from 2056 Pinecone Drive Southwest. Going to order that he have no further contact with the victim, Jasmine Godfrey. Going to order that he continue with his MH treatment plan and any prescribed medications. Going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And that's all I'm going to order at this time. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing further from the state.
Nothing further from defense, Your Honor.
All right. So that should be all the cases, I believe.
Your Honor, Miss Sonji is right there.
Yeah, Miss Sanji, I gave my ruling. I'm gonna go ahead and do it in the essence of time. I don't, know that there's a lot that you could tell me that's gonna change my opinion with this case, because it appears that there's just been so much going on with this victim in this case, and I want to make sure that the victim is safe, and all of the history that I'm hearing concerns me. And so what I ordered was a $10,000 cash bond, no further contact with this victim, Jasmine Godfrey. I also ordered to stay away from 2056 Pinecone Drive. And I ordered that the defendant would continue with his MH plan of treatment and medication, continue to stay on that. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. So that's the ruling that I gave today, okay? All right,
Yep.
thank you for your time.
Thank
Yeah.
you all.
All right, thank you. All right, Miss Grace, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Position number 1 was a $1,500 good bond. Position number 2 is a $450 purge. Position number 3 is a $2,000 good bond. Position number 4 was a plea. Position number 5 was a $15,000 good bond. Position number 6 was a $15,000 good bond. Position number 7 was a $3,500 good bond. Position number 8 was release. Position number 9 is a $1,500 good bond. Position number 10 was a $10,000 cash bond. Position number 11 is a $4,000 good bond. Any questions, concerns?
Got the one add-on.
And the one add-on was a $3,000 cash bond.
You got it. All right, thanks, everybody. See you next time. All right,
Thank
have
you
a
very
good one.
much, Your
Have
Honor.
a good
Bye-bye.
afternoon, Your Honor.
Thank you.
You too. All right, bye.
Should have been through an hour ago.